crappy video with the crappy mic with Bandicam. This is the story of how I became a Cole Whitt fan, the why and how of becoming questionably dumb. Let's get right into it. So, a few years back, okay, no, like 2011. That's much better, thank you, PowerPoint. There was this brand new team called, you ready for this? Inception Motorsports. It was amazing. No, I'm just kidding. It was pretty crappy. At that time, I didn't really know or care because I was a lot younger then. At that time, I just liked the car that had the best paint scheme. That's right, I just liked the paint scheme. Anyways, the team owned the number 30 car. It was driven by the greatest driver in the world, David Stremme. You know, the guy that got fired from Team Penske for being a really bad driver? Yeah, that guy. Funny thing, I never actually noticed the team until 2012 because I was so focused on Tony Stewart becoming the 2011 champion. He always will be my favorite driver of all time. Now, here's the car that the Inception Motorsports had. In 2012, that's the car. Amazing, am I right? Of course, I'm lying again. In the first two seasons for the team, 2011 and 2012, the team ran as a start and park team. Just in case you don't know what a start and park is, let's take Jeff Green as a prime example. And no, not the basketball player. We're talking about the 2000 Busch Series champion. He usually always fails to finish in Xfinity races. You see his number 93 RSS Racing Chevrolet Camaro from ISM Raceway Spring in 2018. The team is owned by Ryan Sieg, who owns Ryan Sieg Racing, as said. They own the number 38 of J.J. Yaley and 93 of Jeff Green, although they both switch cars every so now and then. The team's godfather car is the 39 of Ryan Sieg. Now, Jeff Green and J.J. Yaley, unless they secure a paying sponsorship, Ryan Sieg unfortunately forces them to start and park the race to save money, tires, fuel, and other needs that cost money. Here's a definition on Wikipedia to get a better example. Thank you, Wikipedia. Inception in 2013, though. Well, coming up to 2013, the team operated as a start and park from 2011 to 2012. 2 years total. 2011 as said, and 2012 as said. But in 2013, things would change. The team was rebranded to the greatest team name of all time, Swan Racing. And of course, I'm lying to you once again. David Stremme ran the team for 25 races until he mutually agreed to split up with team owner Brandon Davis. He also had a best finish of 12th at Talladega, but after they agreed, he was fired. He was replaced for the last 11 races of the season by 3 drivers. Kevin Swindell for 1 race, Parker Kligerman for 2 races, and Cole Whitt for 7 races. Cole Whitt had a season best of 27th at the second Dover race. In 2014, Cole Whitt's plans were at first uncertain. He didn't know where he was going, but soon came the call for a full-time offer from, you guessed it, Swan Racing. He was signed full-time to drive the 26 car with sponsorship from Speed Stick Gear as the primary sponsor for multiple races. Parker Kligerman would also be signed to drive the 30 car for multiple, with Lenning Tree as primary for multiple races. Both would compete against Kyle Larson and Austin Dillon for Rookie of the Year award. So the team packed up and headed to Daytona. Things started off well, but soon turned to shit. In practice, as we see both cars here, Cole Whitt crashed and would have to go to a backup. To make matters worse, Parker Kligerman flipped. If you haven't seen the crash, here's a look. There's a 30 car getting into the catch fence, and up and over. Yikes. Somehow, both cars ended up qualifying for the 56th annual Daytona 500 in 2014. All went well until they crashed. They went from this to this in the 500. Both cars eliminated on the same crash in the same lap. Jeez. Eventually, later in the season, Swan Racing closed due to lack of sponsorship and lack of funding. Unfortunately, poor Clearman was left with no ride. Nobody decided to sign him. The remnants of the team's cars would go to Team Extreme Motorsports, I think that's what they called it, with J.J. Yaley as the driver. Cole Whitt, who at this point was looking somewhat like Eminem, was left rideless until the call came from BK Racing to drive the 26 for the rest of the season. The papers were soon signed, and Cole Whitt would eventually join up with sponsorship from Renee, Scorpid, and others. He was scheduled to drive alongside Alex Bowman and Ryan Truex. Well, yeah, Ryan Truex, until he was injured and replaced, or released and replaced with J.J. Yaley. He finished off the season with the best finish of 15th at the Talladega race. In 2015, rumors came that Cole Whitt would not return to BK Racing and instead would sign with Front Row. These rumors were denied by the team owner, but soon were announced true. Cole Whitt was proud. He would sign with the number 35 car to be alongside team with sponsorship from Speed State Gear, Renee Water Heaters once again, Tweaker Shot, and others. He would join up with David Gilliland and David Reagan. Until David Reagan was replacing Brian Vickers after he suffered blood clots. Moffitt would go to the 34, while Reagan would go to the 55. Moffitt didn't do too well. Well, Cole Whitt ended out the season with the season best of 13th at the Talladega Spring Race. 2016, it was announced that Cole Whitt would not return to Front Row Motorsports, but would instead go full-time to Premium Motorsports. At this point, I was disappointed, but I at the same time determined that Cole would do well. He started out the season along with Reed Sorensen. All went well in the 500 as the team showed up with only Cole Whitt, until Cole Whitt crashed and broke an oil pipeline. Everything went to shit, and eventually it ended up in a DNQ. He would drive for the 98 in some races, while also driving for the 55 in some races. Here's what he looked like in the 55. He was fired from the team late into the season after 26 races, his last race being at Kansas. Here was his car. He rounded out 2016 Cup with a season best of 11th at the Coke Zero 400, which is a season, not only season best, but a career best finish. Here's his car. In early February 2017, well, actually, before we get on to that, late into the season, Cole Whitt was hired to drive with TriStar Motorsports for the last few races of the season. In Phoenix, he ended up 16th with sponsorship from Renee. In the final race of the season at Homestead, he received primary sponsorship from Florida Lottery. Entering this race would be the biggest mistake of his career.